Welcome to episode 2 of SSS Super Smash Secrets. I'm your host, Darkblues, and today we'll be going over one of my favorite third-party characters added into the game, Cloud Strife. Now, this little edgy bad boy has a few interesting tips and tricks that I'd like to go over today. One of them is involving Limit Break. Now, Limit Break is unlike any other mode that has been introduced into Smash. This changes a lot about how Cloud works fundamentally. His stats change overall. His movement, his jump, his recovery, and his special moves all change. But you only have that for about 15 seconds. Once those 15 seconds are up, if you're off stage and you didn't count properly, you say bye-bye to that stock. Cloud is another one of those archetypes of characters that wields a sword, very simple to use, very strong swings, two-handed sword user for most of the time, and is very, very, very fast. His downside, though, is that off stage, he has a really hard time coming back. But Cloud has a couple of things that can help him come back. One of them being stalling on the air with a lot of his special moves. Almost all of his special moves, except for Limit and his up B, stall him in the air. Using wall jumps and all these things can ensure that you have a little bit more leverage over your opponent in coming back and ensuring that you don't lose that stock too early. Keeping your jump is very important with the characters such as Cloud. All his swings are very safe, they're very far. His back air being one of the strongest moves that you can use as a keep out tool, which that's facing backwards, pressing the A button, and moving towards your opponent. So a backwards aerial, and if you remember from episode 1, I went over something called a reverse aerial rush, which is essentially you moving forward while your back is turned towards your opponent. So I'm gonna slow down the camera for you a little bit just to kind of show you how that's done. So when you want to do a reverse aerial rush, you want to make sure that you're snapping your stick backwards and forwards before Cloud or any character leaves the air. So I'm going to show that right here. So you notice how Cloud's crouching down like that? So you can zoom in. So you notice how Cloud's crouching a little down and he's still able to move forwards while having his back turned. This is an essential skill to learn when playing Cloud. Now, aside from that, all of his aerials have far reaching. They're very active. This down air in particular. And every single one of his moves have some type of far reaching benefit. Honestly, it's very hard to see a downside the more you explain it. So let's go over a couple of secrets. My favorite secret. I call this one the limit jump. Now, generally, Cloud has a fixed amount of move speed, weight, and fall speed, and overall gravity. His physics change in between him getting hit or when he chooses to. So, for example, if I charge my limit up and I ledge jump, you notice how once he's shifted into the next, he's shifted into his faster physical form as he started glowing blue, and now all of a sudden his movement speed, his recovery is better. I mean, this is all once you use a special move, it's gone. So keep that in mind. But this is great for when you're in a pinch and you want to throw your opponent off. Your opponent's just not going to be able to reach you up there. Especially if I do this again, it's going to be at the same height as it was normally. And you're probably wondering, how the hell am I doing that snap thing? when you use up B, the up special move, at the very, very, very beginning of that move, Cloud is able to instantly snap to the ledge. Normally, this is not possible. And this is actually what makes Cloud very, very susceptible to edge guards. As you can see, a lot of Cloud players, if they can't reach this place when they do an up B, they're gonna have to find a way to sweet spot the ledge so that they don't get clipped by their opponents. So this is a great beneficial tool to use for ledge trumping as well as coming back to ledge. It just ensures that you get there faster than your opponent can act. Another one of my favorite secrets. I like to call this one's a signature. This one's called the Darkblues. But it's just a reverse climb hazard snap. The move itself has a spike on the way down. And this is great for characters that have very linear recoveries. Characters that have to grab the ledge, they fall victim to this. And if you don't hit it automatically, that's fine too, because now you snapped onto the ledge and your opponent has to make a decision. Or else, they're gonna eat another back air. Or if you have limit in the chamber, a limit cross slash. All of Cloud's moves still, they have one fundamental flaw. And that one flaw is that they have a little bit of short range. For example, falling up airs, those are really hard to hit. As you can see, I'm hitting the sour spot of it. Down air isn't as active as it used to be. We could sum up Cloud with a very fast, hard-hitting, movement-intensive character with a lot of tricks to his limits. As you can use your limit and charge, micromanage, and excel using limit to your advantage. As you build up limit, your opponent is building up fear because they don't want to be in a stock deficit and you about to be at limit, because then you start putting damage onto them. And one thing that all players fear the most, fighting Cloud, I'll show you right now. This move, after pressing down B, which is what charges your limit, which would take 7 seconds. This move, the finishing touch, is a very giant swinging move that also end stocks in the earliest way possible. And what happens if you miss this move? Check this out. It pushes everyone back. I mean, while it is pretty unsafe on shield, it's really easy to throw your opponent off by just throwing this move out from time to time. Cloud's controls aren't really fundamental per se. Since his moves change, this move in particular, cross slash, this is his side special move, which is where you press either left or right and the B button, or by default. This would be a 3-hit confirmation move, rather on block or on hit. So if the opponent's shielding, I can continue this. But when limit is active, this just rips. And not only does it just rip, but it's completely safe on block and it's invincible on startup. And the same goes for this move, which eats your opponent's shields, and his climb hazard, which normally it goes only straight up. When you have limit, you can go sideways and you have a lot of momentum. You can also swing on the way down, but that's only saved for a specific amount of things. The thing that makes Cloud really tricky, control-wise, is not particularly his attack buttons, his up tilt. These are very simple moves. His down tilt. These moves, his forward tilt, are very hard hitting, very fast, but what makes them very hard to control is the transition between limit and not limit, because of the way that physics work in this game. So overall, your attack moves Your special moves, these are things that you're going to need to understand positioning. While you might have a big sword, it's not always easy to find your hit, because Cloud players will generally end up finding themselves swinging at ghosts. And we don't want to be swinging at ghosts, especially not in this game. So now, let's move on to Wolf, my favorite space pirate rogue. Now Wolf's a little tricky, and for a few reasons. Number one, he's very, very easy to play. He has one of the most standard kits that you can come across. He has very far-reaching swipe moves. All of his aerial moves, every single one of his aerial moves, as a matter of fact, except for his nair and his back air, are all swipe moves. Very easy to understand where to place the move. His back air, for example, is usually his closing. That's the move that you want to use to ensure that you have taken your opponent's stock. Now back air, this is where it starts getting tricky. The reason why I say Wolf is a tricky character is because even though he can be a jack of all trades character, his movement and the positioning of where you want Wolf to be in a combo situation is what starts making the curve of understanding Wolf and playing Wolf a lot harder. He's one of the most common characters that you could see in a competitive setting, as well as an online setting. His Wolf Flash does not sweet spot the ledge, which makes it a lot easier for people to hit him off stage. And Firewolf amongst all the species, which is species meaning Fox, Falco, and Wolf. This is a shorthand that Smash players have used for 2 decades now. He has a very strong projectile. He has edge guarding tools via down smash. This is on your C stick default. This would be down. Up smash, which on the C stick would also be up. And the nice part about up smash, it's considered one of the outer shield options. So if you're holding shield, and you press up and A, you'll always do an up smash, no matter what. And that will drop your shield. That'd be the fastest option, one of the fastest options that you could do without dropping your shield to do an extra move. Well, what I mean by that is that when you're using a move, or you want to use a different move, you have to drop your shield in order for you to do a different move. That's even including smash attacks. The only ones that you don't need to do that for are up B and up smash, as well as jump. Jump will immediately have you exit your shield. Now, what makes Wolf tricky? Airspeed. Wolf has the 7th fastest airspeed in the game. That makes him extremely hard to hit sometimes. If you had a Wolf jumping around like this, chances are there's no way you're going to be able to hit him. Plus his range, all that range put into perspective, there's a 0 chance that if the Wolf player is piloting very well, there's no way you're gonna be able to hit him. Also, a nice little thing that Wolf has is a bayonet. So even if your opponent jumps in on you, if you hit the blaster button, which is a special button, just by default, if they're close enough, that bayonet's gonna hit them as a get off me tool. Get off me. And sometimes they'll get hit by the blaster for extra damage, but I wouldn't rely on this because it's very easy for people to understand tendencies. And remember, Wolf is a very common character, so chances are that these players have seen this multiple times. If there's a time where you get hit and the first thing you do is press your blaster, they're gonna know that. They're gonna go jump right over you and they're gonna try and start a combo that can kill you immediately. Wolf is a fast faller, so what that means is that he falls faster than a majority of the cast, which makes him easier to hit and easier to juggle. So he'll have a hard time getting out of certain combos. And because he's a spacey, he shares these octo-directional traits. Each of these species holds a blaster, a flash ability, a reflect, and a fire ability is what they would call it. Now, let's get into some secrets. So what does Wolf have that are some secrets? this little trick. Now, if I turn up the percentage a little bit, you're probably wondering what just happened. Let me show you. A little step by step. So, if I could stop it right here. So, if you noticed, in this game, you can do something called a footstool. And that's just you jumping on your opponent. It could be in the air too. Your opponent could be jumping. Let's set the CPU behavior to jump. Your opponent jumps, I can footstool them too. And that actually saves my jump. I'll just jump like this. And then eventually I can jump, and that has no cooldown. There's no animation that I have to wait out. So I can act right out of that move. So when you use Firewolf, you stay right in place. And thankfully, the first hit of Firewolf is really fast. So you can act out of your footstool, Firewolf your opponent, and sink a kill confirm. This is a very advanced technique. So if you don't get it the first time, I don't blame you. This is a lot of practice. This is something that took me a lot of practice. It's actually saved me a lot of sets. So how do you perform this? This is the reason, well, one of the big reasons I actually have my A button cut in half, as you can see here. I have my Y set to special, my X set to jump. What I would do is that I would do exactly what I could show you here. Let's see if I can do that. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd be doing that with my thumb. I'm footstooling with the X button, and then using Firewolf as up special. Up special, B being default, but that's really hard. But I have mine set to Y for that particular preference. This next secret is actually really cool. So Wolf has a down throw that can connect into a flash. So you're probably wondering, why would I want to do that combo? Down throw is one of the coolest combo tools that you can use. At an early percent, it leads to a dash attack, and at later percents, it can lead into a tech chase situation, depending on the character's weight, of course. But on Peach specifically, it's a kill confirm. So if a Wolf player grabs you at the ledge, a Peach player is around between 40% and 60%, that Peach is losing their stock. There's no coming back. Wolf Flash at the very, very, very center is a spike. But everywhere else, it's not. So if you miss this, they're coming back, but you're not. The next one I also want to show is along the same lines. This is the one that works consistently on every character in the game. Now, Flash combo usually starts at about 50%, and depending on what you start with, landing aerial, it could be a landing aerial of a forward air, which is forward A, landing into Wolf Flash. What a lot of Wolf players screw up in this secret, particularly not understanding that there are 3 different angles that Wolf Flash can hit. There's a low angle, a mid angle, and a high angle. Let me show all of those to you. So you hold down, and you'll flash downward. You hold up, you'll flash up this way. And if I just don't do anything, I'll hit this platform, I'll hit whoever's there, but I won't land on top of that. Up angle to land on the platform, or use low angle to hit running opponents. So I showed you a couple of tips and tricks earlier about Cloud and Wolf, and now let's apply them in a real match. Now the reason I chose Small Battlefield for this one was just to kind of demonstrate how elusive Wolf can be. I want you to really try. get ready for my lasers. Man, that looks so cool too, like when you do it. Ow. Yeah, come on, let it go. Height and weight are so dependent on how his combos change. Because Sephiroth's a tall character, because he's so light, he's so easy to hit. Like that, for example. Sour spot up air and a finishing touch. Well, that was actually pretty good. Next time, I'll be showcasing 2 more secrets for some of my personal favorite characters in the DLC range. Stick around.